I closed an $18 million deal and rushed home to surprise my wife. Instead, I found her in our bed with my former best friend. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I took photos and walked out. By sunrise, she had nothing. No money. No house. No future. And she still didn't know I'd been there. My name is Robert Parker, but everyone calls me Rob. I'm 45 years old, and I own a software development company in Austin, Texas. 22 years ago, I married Jessica, my college sweetheart. We have 3 kids together. Brandon, 19, who just started his second year at Texas A&M. Emma, 16, a junior in high school. And Noah, our 13-year-old who still thinks his old man hung the moon. Or at least he used to. The day everything fell apart started like a dream. I was in Seattle, closing the biggest deal of my career. 3 years of development, countless all-nighters, and more coffee than any human should consume had led to this moment. TechCore Industries wanted to license our enterprise security software for $18 million. $18 million. The kind of money that changes lives, that sets up college funds and retirement accounts, that finally lets you breathe. When their CEO signed the contract, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pure, uncomplicated joy. My business partner shook my hand, so hard I thought he'd dislocate my shoulder. The champagne flowed, the congratulations echoed off the walls of their boardroom, but all I could think about was Jessica. I called her immediately. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. "Hey babe, you won't believe what just happened," I said, unable to keep the excitement out of my voice. "Call me back when you get this." I tried again an hour later. Same result. It was unusual, but not alarming. She was probably at the grocery store or helping Emma with homework. Still, something nagged at me. That little voice in your gut that you ignore because you don't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband who can't trust his wife. Instead of staying in Seattle to celebrate, I booked a red-eye flight home. My partners tried to convince me to stay, to enjoy the victory, but I waved them off. "I've got something more important waiting for me in Austin," I told them. If only I'd known how right I was, just not in the way I thought. The flight was turbulent, but my mind was calm. I kept picturing Jessica's face when I walked through the door a day early. The surprise, the joy, maybe even some happy tears. We'd open that bottle of wine we'd been saving for a special occasion. I'd tell her about the deal, about how we were finally secure, how she could quit her administrative job at my company if she wanted to, how we made it. The Uber dropped me off at the end of our street, just after 11 p.m. Austin was quiet at this hour, the usual traffic noise replaced by the rhythmic chirping of crickets. I grabbed my carry-on and briefcase, tipping the driver extra because I was still riding high on that $18 million cloud. Our house sat at the corner of Maple and Fifth, a 2-story colonial we'd bought 12 years ago when the company first started turning a profit. White columns, black shutters, a wraparound porch where Jessica and I used to drink coffee on Sunday mornings. Home. Except something was off. There was a car in our driveway that didn't belong there. A silver Audi A6, parked right where I usually left my truck. My steps slowed as I approached, my businessman's brain automatically cataloging details. New model, maybe 2 years old. Expensive. The license plate wasn't familiar. I stood there on the sidewalk, carry-on at my feet, staring at that Audi like it might explain itself. Jessica didn't drive an Audi. Neither did I. Emma was only 16 and drove an old Honda Civic. Brandon was at college. None of our usual visitors drove a car like this. Maybe it was one of Jessica's friends from her book club. Maybe someone's car had broken down and they'd gotten a rental. Maybe there was a perfectly reasonable explanation that didn't involve the cold sensation spreading through my chest. The house was mostly dark except for a soft glow from our bedroom window upstairs. Our bedroom. I pulled out my phone and tried calling Jessica again. Through the silence of the night, I heard a phone buzzing inside the house. Once, twice, 3 times. Then it stopped. She declined the call. My throat tightened. I stood there in my own front yard, briefcase in one hand, phone in the other, tried to convince myself I was being paranoid. 22 years of marriage. 3 kids. We'd built a life together. She wouldn't. She couldn't. But that Audi wasn't disappearing, and my gut was screaming at me now. I walked slowly toward the front door, each step feeling heavier than the last. My key slid into the lock without a sound. The door opened quietly, the hinges well-oiled from when I'd fixed them last month. The alarm didn't beep. Jessica hadn't set it, which was strange because she always set the alarm before bed. Always. The living room looked normal. Emma's backpack sat by the stairs. Noah's basketball shoes were kicked off near the couch. Everything was exactly as it should be, except it wasn't. There was a men's jacket draped over the back of the recliner, brown leather, expensive looking. I walked over and picked it up, my hand steadier than I felt. The jacket was heavy, quality material. I checked the inside pocket and found a wallet. For a second, I considered opening it, seeing who this belonged to, but I already knew enough. I set the jacket back down exactly as I found it. Upstairs, a floorboard squeaked. Someone was moving around in my bedroom. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking up into the darkness of the second floor. Every instinct told me to charge up there, flip on the lights, and confront whatever was happening. But something held me back. Maybe it was the businessman in me, the part that always calculated risks before making a move. Maybe it was fear of what I'd find. I set my briefcase down silently and pulled out my phone, switching it to silent mode. Then I started up the stairs, keeping to the edges where the wood didn't squeak as much. Each step felt like it took an hour. At the top of the stairs, our bedroom door was slightly open, just enough for a sliver of light to spill into the hallway. I could hear breathing now, soft, rhythmic, the sound of people sleeping deeply, without a care in the world. I pushed the door open slowly. It didn't make a sound. The scene in front of me burned itself into my brain instantly. Jessica was in our bed, wrapped around another man. His arm was draped across her waist, her head resting on his chest. They looked peaceful, content, like they belonged together. For a moment, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. This was my wife, the woman I'd married 22 years ago, the woman who'd cried with joy when I proposed, the mother of my children, and she was lying in our bed with someone else. The man stirred slightly, and I got a better look at his face. My blood turned to ice. Ryan Foster, my college roommate, my best friend from freshman year until we'd started our first company together. We'd had a falling out 10 years ago over business decisions, hadn't spoken since. And now he was here, in my house, in my bed with my wife. The betrayal hit me in waves. It wasn't just Jessica. It was both of them. Two people I trusted completely. Two people who'd meant everything to me at different points in my life. My hand tightened around my phone. Every muscle in my body wanted to explode, to throw Ryan out the window, to scream until my throat was raw. But I didn't. Instead, I raised my phone and took a picture. The flash was off, but the image captured everything. Another picture. Then one more. Evidence. I'd need evidence. Jessica shifted in her sleep, murmuring something I couldn't hear. I stood there for another moment, memorizing this scene, burning it into my memory, so I'd never forget, never soften, never let myself be fooled again. Then I turned around and walked out of the room, closing the door silently behind me. I went back downstairs, picked up my briefcase and carry-on, and walked out of the house I'd worked so hard to buy. The house that was supposed to be our family's foundation. Our future. I pulled out my phone and opened my contacts. Found the name I needed. My attorney picked up on the third ring, his voice groggy with sleep. "Rob, it's almost midnight. What's going on?" Daniel asked. "I need you to meet me at your office in 30 minutes, I said, my voice calm and cold. "I'm filing for divorce. Tonight." Daniel's office was in downtown Austin, on the 15th floor of a glass tower overlooking the Colorado River. By the time I arrived, he was already there, coffee brewing in the small kitchen, files spread across his massive oak desk. Daniel Chin had been my attorney for 12 years. He was 53, sharp as a blade, and had a reputation for being absolutely ruthless in divorce cases. I'd hired him originally to handle corporate contracts, but I'd heard the stories. When his clients went to war, they won. "Talk to me," Daniel said, gesturing to the leather chair across from his desk. He was wearing jeans and a polo shirt, clearly dressed in a hurry, but his eyes were alert and focused. I sat down and pulled out my phone, opening the photos. I slid it across the desk without a word. Daniel looked at the screen, his expression unchanging. He'd seen worse, probably. After a moment, he looked up at me. "Your wife, Jessica," I confirmed. "And the man in the bed with her is Ryan Foster. Old friend from college. Business partner years ago." Daniel nodded slowly, his fingers drumming against the desk. "Okay, do you want to fight this, or do you want to win this?" What's the difference? Fighting means lawyers and court dates, and everyone getting bloody. Winning means we execute this so cleanly she doesn't see it coming until it's too late to do anything about it. Daniel leaned back in his chair. You still have that prenup we drew up before you got married. I'd almost forgotten about the prenup. 22 years ago, when I was starting my first company, Daniel's predecessor had insisted on it. Jessica had signed it without much thought because we were young and in love and didn't think we'd need it. Yes, I said. It's in our safe deposit box. Good. That's going to save us a lot of headache. According to that agreement, if either party commits adultery, they forfeit any claim to marital assets acquired during the marriage. Your company, your investments, the house, everything stays with you. The cold calculation in his voice matched the cold feeling in my chest. What about the kids? Daniel's expression softened slightly. Brandon's 19, legally an adult. Emma's 16, Noah's 13. In Texas, kids their age get a say in custody arrangements. But let's be honest, Rob. Do you really think she's going to fight you for custody when she knows what you know? He was right. Once this came out, once the kids knew what their mother had done, there wouldn't be a custody battle. There would just be devastation. Here's what we're going to do, Daniel continued, pulling out a legal pad and starting to write. First, I'm filing the divorce petition tomorrow morning. Second, we're going to freeze all joint accounts. Every credit card, every bank account with both your names on it. She'll wake up with nothing. Won't that tip her off? By the time she realizes what's happening, the papers will already be filed. She can't stop what's already in motion. Daniel looked up at me. You sure you want to do this? Once we start, there's no taking it back. I thought about Jessica in our bed with Ryan. About the 22 years I'd spent building a life with someone who was living a lie. About my kids, who deserved better than parents who betrayed each other. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, I said. I spent what was left of the night in a hotel room near the airport, staring at the ceiling and running through everything in my mind. Daniel had been efficient. By 2 a.m., the divorce petition was drafted and ready to file first thing in the morning. By 3 a.m., he'd contacted the banks with court orders to freeze our joint accounts. By 4 a.m., every credit card with Jessica's name on it was locked. The sun rose over Austin, painting the sky orange and pink. Beautiful. I'd always loved Texas sunrises. Jessica used to wake up early just to watch them with me, back when things were good. Or maybe back when I was too blind to see they weren't. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Papers filed. Accounts frozen. She's going to know something's wrong by lunchtime. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my contacts and found Brandon's number. My oldest son deserved to hear this from me, not from his mother's panic phone call. He answered on the second ring, his voice thick with sleep. Dad, what's up? It's like 7 in the morning. Hey, buddy. Sorry to wake you. You got a minute to talk? I kept my voice steady calm. No reason to panic him yet. Yeah, sure. I don't have class until 9. What's going on? How'd the Seattle deal go? The deal went great. That's actually why I called. I came home last night to surprise your mom with the news. I paused, choosing my words carefully. Brandon, when I got home, there was someone else there. In our bedroom. With your mother. Silence on the other end. Long, painful silence. Brandon, I know, Dad. His voice was barely a whisper. I've known for about 3 weeks. My hand tightened around the phone. You knew. I came home one weekend to pick up some stuff I'd left in the garage. It was a Saturday afternoon. Mom's car was in the driveway, and there was another car there too. A silver Audi. Brandon's voice shook slightly. I heard voices upstairs. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. I'm sorry, Dad. I should have told you. The guilt in his voice nearly broke me. Son, this is not your fault. You hear me? None of this is on you. I just kept thinking maybe I was wrong. Maybe there was an explanation. And then I thought about Emma and Noah, and how it would destroy them if it was true. He let out a shaky breath. Who was it? The guy she was with. Ryan Foster. You probably don't remember him, but he was my business partner years ago. We had a falling out. Jesus. Brandon was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? Already did it. Filed for divorce this morning. Your mother's going to find out today that all the accounts are frozen. The house is going on the market. It's over, Brandon. Good, he said, and the certainty in his voice surprised me. She doesn't deserve you, Dad. She doesn't deserve any of us. What about Emma and Noah? I need to tell them. Today. Before Jessica spins this into something it's not. I rub my eyes, exhaustion catching up with me. Can you come home? I could use the backup. I'm already packing, Brandon said. I'll be there in 3 hours. By noon, I was back in Austin, parked down the street from our house. Brandon sat in the passenger seat, his jaw tight with anger. We'd spent the drive from College Station talking through everything, and with each mile, I'd watched my son transform from a confused kid into a man who understood betrayal. You ready for this? Brandon asked. No, but it's gotta happen. I opened the car door. Let's go get your brother and sister. We walked up to the house together. The silver Audi was gone now, Ryan having slithered away sometime during the night. I used my key to open the front door. Jessica was in the kitchen, still in her bathrobe, coffee cup in hand. She looked up when we walked in, and her face went pale. Rob, you're home. I didn't expect you until tomorrow. Her eyes darted to Brandon, then back to me. When did you get in? Last night, around 11. I kept my voice level, emotionless. Imagine my surprise when I found Ryan Foster in our bed. The coffee cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the tile floor. Rob, I can explain. Don't. Brandon cut her off, his voice hard. Just don't, Mom. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Brandon, honey, you don't understand. Your father was never home. I was lonely. Ryan and we just reconnected at the reunion, and... Save it, I said. I didn't come here to listen to excuses. I came to tell you that I've filed for divorce. As of this morning, every joint account is frozen. Every credit card in your name is canceled. The house is going on the market next week. Her face went from pale to red. You can't do that. This is my house, too. Actually, I can. Read the prenup you signed 22 years ago. The one that says if either of us commits adultery, we forfeit all rights to marital assets. I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the photos I'd taken. This counts as adultery. Jessica stared at the photo, her hand covering her mouth. Then she looked at Brandon. You knew about this? Yeah, Mom. I knew. I've been carrying that weight for 3 weeks, trying to figure out what to do. Brandon's voice was bitter. Guess Dad figured it out for both of us. Where are Emma and Noah? I asked. Emma's at volleyball practice. Noah's at school. Jessica's voice trembled. Rob, please. We can work through this. 22 years of marriage, 3 kids. You can't just throw that away. I'm not the one who threw it away, I said quietly. You did. The moment you brought Ryan Foster into our bed. The front door opened, and Emma walked in, her volleyball bag slung over her shoulder. She took one look at all of us and stopped. What's going on? This was the moment I'd been dreading. Telling my 16-year-old daughter that her mother had betrayed our family. But she deserved the truth. Emma, honey, we need to talk, I began. 3 days after I'd walked out of that house, Jessica's world started collapsing. I knew because Daniel kept me updated on every single development, and honestly, watching it unfold felt like justice being served on a silver platter. She tried to use the Visa at Target this morning. Daniel told me over the phone. Declined. Then she tried the MasterCard at a gas station. Also declined. She called me around noon, screaming about how you can't do this to her. What did you tell her? That she should have thought about that before sleeping with your ex-business partner. Daniel chuckled darkly. She hung up on me. Also, the eviction notice gets delivered today. I was staying in a furnished apartment downtown, close to my office. Brandon had moved in with me temporarily, taking online classes so he could be around. Emma and Noah were still at the house with Jessica, but they spent most of their time at friends' places or with me. The look in Emma's eyes when she'd learned the truth had broken something inside me, but she'd been strong. Stronger than I'd expected. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Mom's freaking out. Some guy just delivered papers about the house. She's crying and yelling. Can I come stay with you and Brandon? I texted back immediately. Pack your stuff. I'll pick you up in 20 minutes. When I pulled up to the house, Emma was already waiting on the porch with 2 suitcases. Jessica appeared in the doorway, her face blotchy from crying, still wearing the same clothes she'd had on yesterday. You can't take her, Jessica said, her voice raw. She's my daughter too. Emma turned to face her mother. I'm 16, Mom. In Texas, I get to choose where I live. And I choose Dad. Emma, please. Your father is poisoning you against me. He's making me out to be the villain when he was never here. He chose his business over his family. No. Emma cut her off, her voice sharp. You chose another man over your family. You brought Uncle Ryan into our house, into your bed. You lied to all of us. Don't you dare try to make this Dad's fault. I'd never been more proud of my daughter than I was in that moment. Jessica's face twisted with anger. Rob, you're destroying our family. Is this what you want? To turn our children against me? I didn't turn them against you, Jessica. You did that all by yourself. I helped Emma load her suitcases into my truck. The courier should have delivered the eviction notice by now. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. 30 days. Where am I supposed to go? I have no money, no. She stopped, realization dawning on her face. You froze everything. The credit cards, the bank accounts. All of it. That's right. You want to know why? Check the prenup you signed. The one that says if either of us commits adultery, we forfeit all claims to marital assets. The house is mine. The money is mine. The business is mine. You get nothing. This is illegal. I'll sue you. You'll lose, I said calmly. Daniel's the best lawyer in Austin, and we have evidence. Photos, dates, times. Your affair with Ryan has been going on for months, hasn't it? Maybe longer. Jessica's silence was answer enough. Have Ryan help you find a place, I said, climbing into my truck. After all, he's the one you chose. As we drove away, Emma looked back at the house one last time. Is it weird that I don't feel bad for her? No, honey, I said quietly. It's not weird at all. A week after I'd filed for divorce, Ryan Foster finally worked up the courage to contact me. Not a phone call, not even a text. He sent an email to my work address at 2 a.m, like a coward. Rob, we need to talk. What happened wasn't planned. Jessica and I reconnected at the college reunion 6 months ago, and things just developed from there. I never meant to hurt you. Can we meet? I stared at that email for a full minute, feeling my blood pressure rise with each passing second. Never meant to hurt me. As if sleeping with my wife in my bed was some kind of accident. I forwarded the email to Daniel with a simple message. Can I use this as additional evidence? His response came back within minutes. Absolutely. He just admitted to a 6-month affair in writing. Keep him talking. So I replied to Ryan, fine. Lou's Diner on 6th Street. Tomorrow at noon. Come alone. The next day, I arrived 15 minutes early and took a booth in the back. Lou's was an old-school Austin place, the kind with red vinyl booths and waitresses who'd been working there since the 80s. I ordered coffee and waited. Ryan walked in right at noon, looking like he'd aged 10 years. His face was gaunt, dark circles under his eyes. He spotted me and walked over slowly, like a man approaching the gallows. Rob, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. Thanks for meeting me. Cut the pleasantries, Ryan. You wanted to talk. So talk. He fidgeted with the menu, not meeting my eyes. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But I need you to understand that Jessica and we didn't plan this. It just happened. Things don't just happen, Ryan. You made a choice. Multiple choices. You chose to reconnect with my wife. You chose to pursue her. You chose to sleep with her in my house, in my bed. I kept my voice low and controlled, even though every instinct wanted to reach across that table and break his jaw. How long have you been planning this? Since the falling out 10 years ago. Was this revenge? No. God, no. Rob, I swear, when I saw Jessica at the reunion, I didn't even know she'd be there. We started talking, catching up. She told me how lonely she was, how you were always traveling for work. One thing led to another, and you decided my wife was fair game. I finished. Tell me, Ryan, does your wife know? Because Jessica mentioned at the reunion that you got married 5 years ago. Does Mrs. Foster know you've been cheating on her with my wife for 6 months? Ryan's face went white. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? I pulled out my phone and showed him a contact name. Sarah Foster. I've got her number right here. One call, and your marriage is over too. Seems fair, doesn't it? Rob, please. Sarah's pregnant. We're expecting our first kid in 3 months. If she finds out about this, it'll kill her. The irony wasn't lost on me. He was begging me not to destroy his marriage while he'd helped destroy mine. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to screw my wife. Our waitress appeared, notepad ready. Can I get you boys anything? Just the check for the coffee, I said, not taking my eyes off Ryan. After she left, Ryan leaned forward, desperation clear in his voice. What do you want from me, Rob? Money? I'll pay you. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. You can't make this right. There's no amount of money that fixes what you did. You betrayed 20 years of friendship. You helped my wife betray 22 years of marriage. You destroy my family. I stood up, throwing a 20 on the table. Stay away from Jessica. Stay away from me. Stay away from my kids. If I see you anywhere near us, I'm calling Sarah and telling her everything. And then I'm going to make sure your business partners know exactly what kind of man you really are. Ryan's face went from white to gray. You'd ruin my career over this. In a heartbeat, I said, consider yourself lucky. I'm giving you a warning. I walked out of that diner feeling lighter than I had in days. Ryan Foster was out of my life for good. 4 months had passed since I'd walked out of that house and found my wife in bed with Ryan Foster. 4 months of lawyers, paperwork, and rebuilding my life piece by piece. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks ago. Jessica got nothing, just like the prenup stipulated. The house sold for above asking price. My company was thriving with the TechCore deal bringing in steady revenue. I'd moved into a new place in West Lake Hills, a modern house with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the hill country. Brandon had his own room for when he came home from college. Emma and Noah had their rooms too, decorated exactly how they wanted them. It was a fresh start for all of us. I was in my home office on a Saturday afternoon, reviewing quarterly reports when the doorbell rang. Emma was out with friends. Noah was at basketball practice. Brandon was at college. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the front door's glass panel, I saw her. Jessica. She looked thinner than I remembered, her clothes hanging loosely on her frame. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup, dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, I considered not opening the door, but curiosity won out. I wanted to know what could possibly bring her here after everything that had happened. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. What do you want, Jessica? Rob, please. I need to talk to you. Just 5 minutes. Her voice was different, smaller somehow. The confident woman I'd married had been replaced by someone I barely recognized. You've got 3 minutes. Talk. She looked past me into the house, seeing the life I'd built without her. Nice place. The kids told me you'd moved. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I threw away 22 years of marriage, destroyed our family. And for what? Ryan left town 2 months ago. Didn't even say goodbye. He just disappeared. She wiped at her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm living in a studio apartment in Pflugerville. I got a job as a receptionist at a dental office. I can barely afford rent. And you're telling me this because... I kept my voice flat, emotionless. Because I want you to know I understand now. I understand what I lost. What I threw away. She took a step closer. Rob, I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for another chance. We built a life together. We have 3 kids. Doesn't that mean anything? I looked at this woman who'd shared my life for over 2 decades, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering love. Just emptiness where she used to be. You want to know what you lost? I said quietly. You lost a husband who would have done anything for you. Who worked 80-hour weeks to give you the life you wanted. Who loved you completely and trusted you absolutely. I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo. This is what you traded it for. A 6-month affair with a man who ran away the moment things got complicated. Jessica stared at the photo, the same one I'd taken that night. I know. I see it every time I close my eyes. Rob, please. No. I cut her off. You made your choice. You chose Ryan over your family. You chose temporary excitement over permanent commitment. And now you have to live with that choice. I stepped back, my hand on the door. The kids have my number. If they want to see you, that's their decision. But you and me, we're done. We were done the moment you brought another man into our bed. Rob, wait. Goodbye, Jessica, I said, and closed the door. I watched through the window as she stood there for a long moment, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Then she turned and walked back to an old, beat-up Honda Civic parked at the curb. Not the luxury SUV she used to drive. Not the life she used to have. She'd made her choice. Now she was living with it. 9 months after the divorce was finalized, I found myself at a charity gala in downtown Austin. My business partner had dragged me there, insisting I needed to get out more, meet people, start living again instead of just working. You can't hide in your office forever, Rob, he'd said. You're 45, not 80. There's still life to be lived. So there I was, in a suit and tie, making small talk with potential clients and donors, when I saw her across the room. She was talking to a group of people near the bar, laughing at something someone had said. She had dark hair cut in a short, stylish bob. And when she smiled, her whole face lit up. "That's Claire Montgomery," my business partner said, noticing where I was looking. "She runs a nonprofit that provides tech education to underprivileged kids. Smart as hell and single. Divorced about 2 years ago. I'm not looking for her." Yeah, you're not ready. I've heard it all before." He gave me a gentle push. "Go talk to her anyway. What's the worst that could happen?" So I did. I walked over, introduced myself, and we started talking. About our nonprofit, about my company, about everything and nothing. The conversation flowed easily, naturally. No forced pleasantries, no awkward silences. Just two people connecting. "So what brings you to these things?" Claire asked, sipping her wine. "You don't strike me as the gala type." "I'm not. My business partner forced me to come. Said I spend too much time working and not enough time living." I smiled. "What about you?" "This is literally my job. Schmoozing donors, convincing people with money that tech education matters." She glanced around the room. "Though between you and me, I'd rather be home with a good book and my dog." "What kind of dog?" "Golden Retriever. His name is Pilot. He's the only man in my life who hasn't disappointed me." She said it lightly, but I caught the edge of old pain in her voice. "I've got 3 kids who'd probably say the same thing about me being disappointing," I said, though they're slowly coming around. "Recent divorce. Finalized 9 months ago. You? 2 years. He decided our marriage was less interesting than his 25-year-old assistant." Claire shrugged. "But honestly, best thing that ever happened to me. Forced me to figure out who I was without him." We talked for another hour, exchanging stories about failed marriages and fresh starts, about kids and careers and learning to trust again. When the gala ended, I walked her to her car. "This was nice," Claire said, pulling out her keys. "I don't usually enjoy these events, but tonight was different. Would you want to have coffee sometime? No pressure, just 2 people who enjoy talking to each other." She smiled. "I'd like that." 3 months later, Claire and I were dating exclusively. She'd met my kids, who actually liked her, which was a miracle in itself. Brandon approved. Emma thought she was cool. Even Noah, who'd been the most resistant to the idea of me dating anyone, admitted she was pretty okay. I wasn't rushing into anything. Neither was Claire. We both knew the value of taking things slow, of building something real, instead of just filling the empty spaces left by our ex-spouses. One evening, we were sitting on my back porch, watching the sunset paint the hill country in shades of orange and gold. Claire's head was resting on my shoulder, and for the first time in over a year, I felt completely at peace. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said. "A year ago, I thought my life was over. Thought I'd never trust anyone again, never be happy again. And now?" Claire asked. "Now I realize Jessica didn't end my life. She just ended that chapter. This is a new chapter, and it's turning out better than I ever expected." Claire lifted her head and kissed me softly. "Here's to new chapters." I looked at this woman beside me, at the life I'd built from the ashes of my broken marriage, at my kids who were healing and growing stronger. Jessica had tried to destroy me, but all she'd really done was clear the path for something better. I'd won, not because I'd gotten revenge or because Jessica was struggling. I'd won because I'd survived, rebuilt, and found happiness again. And that was the best victory of all.